You are watching Conversations with Jennylyn. And as you know, I tell you each time that I try to find the best people to have conversations with and to share with you. And tonight is no different. Tonight, my guest is Crystal Clare, and she is fascinating. To me, she is, and I'm sure at the end of this interview, you will agree with me because she has such a great story of where she started, where she is now, and why, and how she's bringing some fascinating, informative, I call them facts, to the planet because she channels her spiritual guides. But Heather, welcome. Claire, welcome to the show. And thank you for taking the time.
Thank you so much. It's so great to be here. It's Crystal Clare is my alter ego on social media, but it's been really fun to be referred to as Crystal sometimes. So
Okay, great. I wasn't sure which name I should call you.
you can call me Heather. That's fine. Crystal, if people want to find me on TikTok, I'm Crystal Clare.
Okay, great. So you guys, you've heard her on TikTok. She's Crystal Clare, and that's where I met her. So you started off in the finance industry and the banking industry. Do you want to share a little bit quickly so people can understand the transition from there to where you are now?
Yeah. Yes, I would love to. First, I'll say that when I was young, we were very religious. We went to church, and I was told you grow up and you get a job working for a corporation and you work and put money away for retirement and 401k, and then someday you have some money to retire. So that was the plan I was on. And I started working for a bank very young, and I started moving up the corporate ladder pretty quickly. I started as a teller, but found that I had a really natural ability to connect with people and sell whatever the product was. And then a few years into my career, I started getting recruited to be a teacher, a coach, and really coach people on how to sell and connect with clients. And then my last, probably, I'm going to date myself, but the last 15 years of my career, I was recruited to manage sales of full call centers, territories, large territories across multiple different areas, so mortgage, banking centers, etc. And what I found was that I really had a natural ability to go into an area. I used to be recruited for to take over the very lowest performing areas of whatever the areas that I was being recruited for. So
Right.
mortgage, process design, banking centers, and I would come into the literally an area would be ranked 648 out of 648 in the country, and I would come in and I didn't realize what. Now I understand what I was using, but I was using my gifts to find out where were the gaps, where was the struggle, was it a people issue, was it a process issue, really people or process, and usually it was both. And then I would start redesigning the processes and connect to each person individually to find out what lights them up, what brings them to work every day, are they in the right job for one, and if they are and they're struggling, how can we give them the coaching and mentoring that they need to really become top performers. And so many times, well, I turn over territories and teams and call centers from dead last to the top 2% in the company over and over and over. I won lots of trips, lots of awards, but I really found my joy in seeing people go from almost being fired or terminated to a top performer in the whole company, just based on connecting with them, hearing them out, identifying where it is that they're struggling, and then giving them the coaching and mentoring they need. And what I saw was that, I don't know if you want me to talk about when I exited right now, but
Yeah, yeah.
what I was seeing was that people, the majority of the time, people were being managed with fear and pressure. It was fear: if you don't reach these goals, you're going to get written up. Lots of fear, lots of pressure, lots of threats. The last 3 years of my career, I was managing a large area in Oregon, the Portland, Oregon area, and I had about 15 banking centers I was in charge of. I was also on the board of the associate satisfaction team for the whole company, because when I would come over and turn over teams, performance, they also became the most satisfied associates in the company. So they weren't just top performers; they were the happiest people with their manager. when I look at based on the happiness with management scores, so I knew I was doing something right, and I was trying to teach other people to do the same thing. Because I'm a teacher, I want to spread this all over. So
Right.
the last 3 years of my career, I was recruited over to take over this territory, and I just saw that the people were being treated horribly, and I could see that what was being asked of them was totally illogical. It didn't make any sense. I'm a very logical person. I've worked in process design for many years. Top performer there too. I know how to identify what's wrong and how to change it. And I could see that these people were just not being treated well and being asked to do things that were nearly impossible. But nobody was listening. Nobody would listen. And I got a new manager after I was recruited about a year into this role. My manager left the company, and I got a new manager. And he, along with some other people, started really putting on the pressure to increase the performance.
Right.
My territory was ranked the lowest when I took them over, and they were ranked the highest of the Northwest region when it was taken over by these new managers. And they were trying to get the other territories to raise, but they were doing it through pressure. We would be on calls as an executive. We would be on calls, and we'd be told that I heard them one time tell someone, I chew up and spit out leaders like you for breakfast. And this was this is common in corporate. So I kept telling them.
They said that to you? Somebody actually
Not to me.
said that? Oh.
They said other things to me because I was performing. My team was performing, but still, it was just this mentality of it was these 5 men would sit on these calls, and as executives, we would dial in. It would just be me, and then my peers would have their own slot to get yelled at, and it would just be me and these 5 men just picking apart everybody on my team. And they were asking us to not only pressure our teams into pushing banking products that increased their bonuses, but to fire minorities, and specifically minority women. And I refused to do it. I said, listen, I have 15 plus years of proof that I can turn over any size team you want. Doesn't matter what they're selling, doesn't matter what they're doing, and they'll be happy doing it, and their clients will be the happiest in the company. Let me do my thing. There was a control issue, though. They didn't like that. I knew I'd done this before, right? And they were coming in to try to make change, and they didn't like the resistance. And what I found a lot in corporations is that, and this is just the top-down global structure that I talk about on my TikTok, what I found is that there's a lot of pride and ego. And instead of people saying, yes, we welcome your help, and then gaining the help of the expert, which would be me or whoever else, and then everyone rising together and they get the credit, there's this power and ego at play that says, no, you're going to do it my way, regardless how much money they lose, regardless how much people they lose. It's my way or the highway. So they kept pressuring us to fire minorities and push these products, and all of my peers were doing it. And I said, I'm not going to do that. My team is excelling in all these areas. I'm not going to pressure them, and I'm not going to fire them just because you don't like the color of their skin and they're women. So
are you kidding me? Or was it that blatant?
It was very blatant. I have a lot of documentation to show it. So because I wasn't doing what they were, I kept wanting to meet with them and say, let me show you my process. Because they were new to me. They didn't know me. I was recruited by someone else who left the company. So they don't know who I am. They judged me based on their, couple interactions, and then there was a lot of resistance. So they started bullying me to get me to quit. And so instead of saying this person has a history and a track record of successfully turning over massive territories and call centers, they said, we don't like that there's resistance and that she's telling us no, she's not going to fire these people erroneously. And so we're going to bully her. So they started bullying me so badly. And I have a pristine record. I had never had a single complaint. I have so much recognition from all of my employees for years. So they started bullying me because they didn't want to fire me out of the blue because of my track record. So they're hoping I would quit. And things got so bad that I had a stroke and I was hospitalized before I was 40. Because
are you kidding? From the stress at work?
Yeah, it was It was horrible. It was horrible. I was working 80-hour weeks, going home at night, crying, eating once a day. I lost weight. I was just sick because I was trying to save all of these people and save myself, and there was nobody helping me. Nobody would hear it. So they ended up calling me in to their office, my boss and someone else, about 4 years ago, and they told me, we're going to let you go, but you've been such a phenomenal, no reason given. They just, you can do that, you don't need to give reason, but they were hoping they didn't have to do that. They hoped I would quit, but I'm a Leo. I'm not leaving my people. So they said, you've been such a phenomenal employee. We're going to give you $100,000 as a thank you for everything you've done, and give you stellar recommendations, and you're going to have no problem, like, finding a job somewhere else. Well, because of my upbringing, to me, it was the worst thing that could have ever happened. I had my whole plan. I knew exactly what I was doing. I knew where I was going, when I was going to retire, the 401k, the retirement plan. This is what we're all told when we're young. This is the path that you go and work for someone else, and you're lucky to have a job, and you should never question, you should never push back, don't rock the boat, and that religion tells you this too. So I'm crying. They give me this contract and said, you just have to sign this contract to get the money. And so I went home, and when I finally read the contract, it said that I would not be able to talk to anyone at the company after I left. So I quietly, people were calling me, crying, begging for help, because the day after I left, they started the termination process for these minority women that I had been protecting. So I didn't take the money in order to
Good
help
for you, because that was blatantly bribe, right?
But it happens all the time. It happens all the time. I have since met so many, specifically women, who have gone through similar things, who took the money because they were scared, because they used fear and control to keep you in line. So, and that's what they were doing to me, and it worked.
Hats off to you that you didn't go down that rabbit hole.
Something inside of me, which, that's the second part of the story. Something inside of me said, don't do it. Don't take the money. And so I was terrified. How am I going to pay my bills? I have termination on my record, a stellar employee with nothing bad on the record ever. So I'm like, what am I going to do? But I still knew that the right thing to do was to not take the money. And I helped all of these women. I worked with them to get their resumes together. I helped them get interviews, and they all got to safety. Not one of them was laid off by these men, because I was not going to let it happen. So that's the end of my my career story. I mean, obviously there's so much more detail, but I stepped into what I'm doing now totally out of the blue, and I'll get to that whenever you want me to share about that.
Okay, so before we go to that, I want anybody watching this segment to see that integrity is so important. But so many people would have taken the money, and it's probably because when you're being terminated from your job, there's a level of fear that comes with it. If there's not another job lined up, because you still have your bills every month to pay. So I'm really happy that you took the high road. So tell us what happened when you got on the high road, because I think it's really exciting.
It's honestly insane. Every time I think about it, it's so insane. So I'll back up 4 months just to preface this next piece. In August of 2019, I was 3 months before they let me go. I was so bogged down with fear and what am I going to do? I was just in a horrible situation, trying to protect myself, trying to protect other people. And I was laying in bed on a Sunday at like 2 or 3 in the afternoon, depressed. My only day that I wasn't working. I didn't want to go to work the next day. And I said, if there's anything out there that can hear me, I need help. I'm like, I don't know if there's anything, because I didn't have the best experience with religion growing up. Lots of fear, lots of, there's a man in the sky that judges people and sends people to heaven or hell. And so I didn't have the best feeling about all that, but I just said, if there's anything out there, I can't do this anymore. I feel my soul dying. And immediately things started happening. I started seeing the number 555 everywhere, all over. There's a whole bunch of things that happened that I won't get into now, but that led me to being let go. I called out for help, and the universe came and it said, here you go. We've been waiting for you to call out for help. So When they let me go in 4 months later, in March of 2020, I came home from an appointment and I walk in the house and I go to pour a glass of wine. It's like 5:36 and I'm like, I'm gonna pour a glass of wine and start making dinner. That sounds good. And this overwhelming voice, all encompassing, said, "Don't drink tonight." And I was like, oh, that's weird, but it wasn't weird. It was like familiar but weird. So I said, okay. I go to cook dinner and it's about like 30, 45 minutes in. And I turn around, I see the bottle of wine and go, oh, a glass of wine would be fun to have with dinner. And again, the voice said, don't drink tonight. So I go to bed and I'm laying in bed after dinner and everything. I'm laying in bed. My husband's sleeping next to me. It's like 11:30 and I'm so wide awake. I have insomnia a little bit. So I'm laying there dead sober, totally awake. And all of a sudden, I started seeing things like movies happening in my mind, and two angels appeared and they started talking to me. It makes me cry every time I talk
You
about it.
were dreaming? Did
I
you
wasn't
think
dreaming.
you were no, but did you think you
No.
were dreaming? Because I have episodes like this. And in the beginning I thought I was dreaming, but continue.
Yeah, this was so profound. There was this like deep feeling of remembrance almost. And the only thing I can relate it to for anyone watching is I always tell people, if you go and watch near-death experience videos on YouTube, you'll see people will say over and over that when they died for the moment and they went over to the other side, there was this, they didn't remember everything, but there's this feeling of, oh, I'm home. It's like this remembrance. And that's what it was. It was like this, it was almost like I felt like I knew these beings, but I couldn't place it. So it felt very, very real for me. And so they spoke to me for 3.5 hours. They showed me a ton of things. So anyways, moving forward, they guided me and told me to create a blog. And they said, this is part of what you came to do. And they told me to create a blog to expose what was happening at this company. And I'm like, I don't know how to do that. What's a blog? How do I create a blog? I'm technology challenged, but I did it. I created a blog. And what that did, in the meantime, also, I found a lawyer who took my case. And all of this is coming to, when a lawyer took my case pro bono, I created a blog, and my lawyer said it usually takes 3 to 5 years for a company to respond to a lawsuit. And within 3 months of creating my blog, the company reached out and wanted to settle because my blog had started getting so much traction. I was getting testimonies from women, mostly women from all over the country, saying, this is happening to me. My story, what happened at the bank, was exactly what's happening to other people. And so it made me realize it wasn't just me, it's happening everywhere, which is why I'm channeling what I'm channeling now, I think, is to help people understand this is something that's going on for a very long time. The pyramid, the top down, people at the top have all the control, the people at the bottom have no control. You should be lucky to have a job, you should go to work and don't question anything. And they keep it all hidden, they keep it all under the rug. And it's coming out now because our planet's ascending. But about
Can I interrupt you for a quick second?
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
anyone watching this segment will have this question because it's burning holes in my mind. Can you name the bank? Are you
No.
allowed?
Yeah.
Oh, you can't. Okay.
However, I'm not allowed to name the bank, but you can find it on social media. I have other social
Okay, so
media.
if you're watching this show and you want to go find this awful bank that discriminates against women and boycott them, go to her website and look.
Well, here's a side note though. What I've learned, because within a year after that, I started getting psychic downloads in public. I started channeling these cosmic beings, and now this is what I do. And what I've learned is that it's not this bank; it's all the corporations. It just is what it is, and boycotting doesn't necessarily. This is what I've learned. This is take it, leave it, whatever. The more, if we're putting a lot of energy into protesting and boycotting, a lot of times that can stir up negative energy that actually perpetuates the thing that we're boycotting. So I've learned since then what to do, and I can share today or another time on what my guides have told me to do that makes more sense. But it's not just this bank, it's all corporations that operate with this top down pyramid structure of The people at the top are making all the money, and the people at the bottom are making barely anything, and they're doing all the work, and they're enduring all the abuse. It's just the way business is done in most large corporations. So when I started channeling these cosmic beings, and what they've shared with me, which is bringing me to where I'm at now, is I channel for people all around the planet now. And what I've realized is that this modality that I believe I came in with, I used to have gifts when I was little, but we shut them down. You know, this is normal for kids to have gifts, but we shut them down. They've come back, obviously. And my modality is primarily helping people understand the reasons for their experiences, understanding their soul contracts with the main players in their life. So that's caregivers, partners, children. But we have soul contracts with many, many things. And then the soul contracts with their experiences. Why did you have a traumatic childhood? We set up experiences for us in our life to help us learn lessons, help us to overcome challenges, and to help us close karmic loops with people. So that can only be done if we create the opportunity to create the scenario to overcome that, right? Which is our childhood. So that's what I do. But earlier this year, I started getting the nudge from my guides to start posting on TikTok. And I wasn't on TikTok, and I thought it was a 12-year-old thing. I didn't know anything. And after 6 months of them pushing me, I finally got on TikTok. So I said, I don't know what you guys want me to channel. And they said, start channeling with Hollywood, because it gets, it gets people's attention. And Hollywood is just one, like, kind of a mirror for what's happening around the globe. And so I've been doing that, and then peppering in what they've been sharing with me about the collapse of the 4 pillars around the globe that are collapsing, what we can do about it, how we can start exiting those systems and start preparing for the new world, the new paranoid.
So if you are watching this show, and I hope a lot of people are watching this particular segment, I found her on TikTok, and everything you're saying is in synchronicity with what's happening in my life. I've had this gift since I was a child that nobody in my family knew. So I grew up feeling sorry for myself because I saw myself as the weird one, because no one else around me was relatable. I couldn't relate, or they couldn't relate to what was happening with me. But I believe that when we come into the world for a certain purpose, we don't get to stay away from it forever, because our guides and our angels or whomever, they bring us back to where we need to be if we are living in love and light. And so I was eventually sort of looped here, and I would walk in the evenings, and I would always have a video just show up in my feed, and then I watch it and I go, how did this get here? But everything that I was listening to was like, oh my God, I can totally relate. And so what I've noticed is that my television show is sort of morphing from like a tech show to a spiritual show, because this is where I am being led to take it. Just like you shared, you worked for the banking industry, but I believe that incident that happened with you happened so that you would get in the place where you needed to be. That's not where you were meant to be forever. You were probably put there to help those people and then to come do what you're doing now. So if you're watching this segment, please go to TikTok and look for Crystal Clear, because she is really sharing some stuff on there that is being channeled from the divine beings that they want us to understand about this metric system that we're living in, that is really not in our best interest. And so in order to keep yourself informed, I would encourage you to find her on TikTok and look for her. Now, I have a real quickly, because this is not about me, but I have a lot of friends who do not trust TikTok because it gets so much bad publicity. And this is what I say to them. All of the news that I get that is, in my opinion, the authentic news, I get on TikTok. And I believe the reason they're trying to shut down TikTok and discourage people from going to it, it's one of the few places where we're getting the truth. Because we know about mainstream media, we're not even going to have to say it. I think it's kind of obvious. So anyway, you started to get this guidance, this divine guidance, which when you hit rock bottom, you found yourself calling out and saying, "Somebody, this can't be it for me. You need to show me what it is." And I mean, things just started happening magically in your life, and you've brought forth quite a bit of information. I think I've watched all of it because all of it makes complete sense to me. Um, the Hollywood thing, you've done a series on a lot of people that a lot of people that are probably watching this have on pedestals, and they call them celebrities. That word
Mhm.
nauseates me. It always has. Even before I knew what I know now, something was not resonating with these people. Like, I would see some of these people and go, why is it I don't like, I don't hate them, but why is it that I feel uneasy around this person? Why I couldn't tell. And I had a list, and all my close friends will tell you. And now these are the same people that your guides are exposing. I'm like, darn, I have something. I'm not sure what to call it, but I've got something. And that's why when I saw you, I'm like, I got to get her on my show because you're credible. And anyone who denies that is because they don't want to hear what you have to say because that wiring is so deep. And
Yeah.
sometimes you're really going to destroy a lot of castles that have been built from consciousness. Let's put it that way. So, I want to do a series with you as much time as you can to share some of what you have on TikTok because I have a lot of close friends who don't want to go to TikTok. So, this way they will find out what you're sharing there. So, you have done a series. You started with Hollywood. Why do you think your guides wanted you to start with Hollywood?
I've asked them so many times. I'm like, and I'll even say in my videos, I don't know why they want me to channel Hollywood because I don't care about Hollywood.
Exactly.
I but you know, they're actually talking to me, right? So it's like,
Tell us what they're saying. It's
yeah.
important.
Well, they're saying they said so. There's two. I think there's two main reasons. Feels like there's a third one too, but there's two main reasons. And the first one was I started from scratch. I started with no followers, and I still I'm still fairly new, and but I get really great engagement on my videos. It's a cool thing. But and I'm growing. But they say that start with Hollywood number one because there's a lot of people who care about Hollywood and a lot of people who are okay, this is what they're saying right now. Actually, they're saying a lot of people that are really sucked into the Hollywood thing are the people that need a little bit of a nudge to wake up, just a little bit. Or they're saying also their intuition, like you, is telling them something, and I'm confirming for them sometimes, and that is going to help with the awakening. It's going to help people tap into their intuition more. It'll help them redirect their energy into something that's much more supportive for a positive life versus getting it sucked into the black hole of Hollywood, which goes nowhere. Because where we spend our attention is where our life is going to start flourishing. And if you're letting it get sucked into a black hole, 10 years goes by and what have you done in your life? Because you're focused on the Kardashians, you're focused on whatever is happening in Hollywood. So that's number one. They said it gets people's attention. It's something that everybody can relate to. They understand it. So they said it's in order to create and start the platform that they want me to have to get truth out. And then the second reason is because Hollywood in a lot of ways is a mirror for what's happening around the globe. So I get sometimes people making really angry comments on my videos about the people I'm channeling, like, oh, I hate them, they're so greedy, or they're corrupt. And I used to think that way too, and I still understand that. But from what I've channeled and how I know I'm channeling these beautiful highlight beings is because everything comes in neutral. There's no good or bad. There's no shame on you. There's no why aren't you learning a lesson or this person's doing something bad. They present it in a very neutral way because everything is polarity or duality. Polarity is more of the negative, in my opinion, aspect, and duality is more of the like balance.
Right.
And so what they say is Hollywood's a mirror for what's happening around the globe. People in Hollywood are waking up, and I didn't know a lot of this stuff before, or any of it really before I started channeling. The contracts that the most famous and the richest people that have, the most famous and the most rich for the most part, so far it's been 100% of the time that I've channeled, they have the least control over their lives. They're most likely also doing the most nefarious things because they think they have to based on their contracts. So their life really isn't their own. Yes, they've got, tens of millions or billions of dollars, and they've got all the things that they could possibly want, but their life isn't their own. If they're told they have to show up somewhere, they got to show up. If they have to promote an agenda, they got to promote an agenda. And you start to disconnect from your soul a little bit because you start to promote things that you maybe as a human don't believe in or you don't support, but you don't have a choice. You have a choice, right? And so there's a lot of what I've seen from channeling now the last few months is that there's a lot of darkness in Hollywood. Hollywood was created when religion started failing, is what my guides say, because people started questioning, going, there's a lot of weird stuff going on in religion, and they're starting to like question it, what's going on, all the way up in the church and stuff. So they created Hollywood to divert distraction and create these shiny objects to pull your attention towards, right? So there's all these people in Hollywood that are in these contracts that are starting to wake up and going, I don't like the way things are happening anymore. I just did one on Justin Timberlake a month ago. That's gotten the most views so far. I touch high level, but he's waking up going, yeah, all this money's great, but what good does it do if I can't speak up and share truth about what's really happening? Like, what good does this do if I can't help someone who needs help and I know I can help them because my contract says I can't? And so they're saying, when you look at it that way, all of us around the globe are starting to wake up going, the government's supposed to have our best interests in mind. Wait a minute, where's all my money going? And why are they living in billion-dollar mansions and people are homeless all over the place? As a low-level example, people are starting to wake up and they're saying Hollywood is a mirror for that. And so people can understand, and it's here to support the awakening by giving them an example of using Hollywood and then saying, well, where in my own life do I see that? Where am I starting to question what's happening in my life?
And I think people are also questioning how so many of these celebrities are dying in bathtubs. Or I mean, after a while you're like, wait a minute, why is it so many Hollywood celebrities are dying in bathtubs or dying of drug overdoses? It's like I've been watching this for a long time thinking this is so coincidental, or is it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so if you're paying attention without you bringing these messages through, there's so much that is going on and that has gone on that I don't understand how so many intelligent people on the planet, and we just accept these things. But thanks to people like you that are now who have agreed to come to the planet to expose this stuff, hopefully all the people will wake up at some point.
Yeah, and first of all, there's probably 20 different episodes of topics that we've already touched on. So
right.
we could be doing episodes forever, but so this is what I've learned, and this is what I say a lot, is that for number one, we chose to be here. Okay. We can't remember, and sometimes we think, why in the heck would I choose to be here right now? But we chose to be here for many reasons. For one, it's fun if we allow it to be in a human body and be able to go do things in a human body. But we chose to be here, so we have to understand that. And then if we chose to be here and we look around the globe and look at all of the destruction and the mayhem and the death, we knew that was going to happen when we came here. So the question is, what is my role in this? And how can I evolve despite this? And what is my role in helping the collective overall evolve instead of getting sucked in? Because this was me before. I was very angry at the bank because of the horrible treatment of people. But now I see having your emotions hijacked and being angry about stuff all the time doesn't do anyone any good. Do what you can to make change, but focus on what you can control. Focus on getting truth out. Focus on being available for people when they do wake up. You can't make someone wake up, but you can be available for them when they're ready, because everyone wakes up in their own time. And I think that, like you just mentioned, there's a lot of intelligent people that might not be seeing these patterns. Well, there's a lot of incredibly intelligent people that still think what you see on the news is real.
Exactly. It just blows my mind. I mean,
But it's because
people I respect.
It's a level of consciousness thing. It's not good or bad. It's just a level of consciousness. And that's what happened to me when I called out for help 4 years ago. It gave my guides the permission, because one of the laws of the universe is non-intervention. They can't intervene in our life unless we say we want help. And immediately my life changed like that.
Universe, I want help.
I said, anything out there, help me. So if you're watching the news and you're feeling really frustrated and you're angry about what's happening, try something different. Turn off the news and say, I'm ready to be shown truth. I don't know where that is. No one's taught me. None of us are taught the truth. We're all lied to the second we come out of the womb by the systems, which is what I talk about on my channel. But ask for help and truth will start coming to you. Just like you said, when you're on your walks and a video pops up and you go, how could this have happened? It's not an accident. It's not an accident. And you know what? My guides say a lot. They say that it's really easy for them to work through electricity because everything is energy. So the beautiful thing about the internet, although there's a lot of, the media is not real and it's fake and it's orchestrated, and there's a lot of other stuff on the internet, we are living in a beautiful time right now where we can get truth out. And so if you ask for help and say, please bring me truth, there's a higher power going on here and you will start getting the truth. Whether or not you're ready for it is the other question, because it's a lot to swallow when you start going down that rabbit hole and realize that majority of your reality that you thought was real, it's all made up. And you have to now choose, where do you want to put your energy in, and what beliefs do you want to keep, and what beliefs need to go in order for you to manifest the life that you want.
So every day I have to remind myself that I need to be patient with those who are still asleep. And some of them are very, very close friends, co-workers, family, and they will make these comments. And because I've been shown what they haven't seen yet, the human in me wants to say, hey, that's not true, but I have to just zip the lip and continue to pray for all my loved ones to wake up, because I am not going to be popular because I've chosen this path for my show. But I'm not here to be popular, because popularity really wasn't helping me in any way. I don't do this show to get lots of followers. I mean, I'm not egotistical. I was selected to bring certain messages to help people like you who are bringing through like the creme de la creme of the information, because I haven't been trained to receive it in the way you have. So that now I am being led to bring you to the platform where a different type of people are watching. And I know that I'm going to lose a lot of them, because a lot of them believe in, the Christianity, and they're Jewish, and those philosophies are good, but they're not going to serve them now because they're not necessarily based on the truth. And I cannot tell these people this. How could I? How could I collapse their entire belief structure? I can't. So what I have to do is lovingly do what I'm being led to do and wait on the universe, hopefully, to wake them up. And some people may never wake up, but hey, I'm only doing what I can do for me and for those people who want to hear these messages. And so you've done a full series on some very popular people. You've done Oprah Winfrey, you've done Britney Spears, Justin Timberlake, you've done so many. And you said, I never knew anything about these people. I never really followed them. Neither have I, because there was something about them that I couldn't put my finger on, especially Oprah. I couldn't tell what it was. And so now you're not the only one that's bringing this information through. And it saddens you on some level, because so many are being misled and these people aren't looking out for them.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much. The series I did on Britney Spears was the first one I did, and I've done videos since. So the very first 4 or 5 videos on my channel is Britney Spears, and then I did a couple videos on her book. The cool thing about, first of all, I hadn't thought of Britney in 20 years. I followed her when she was when she first came on the scene, but then she went away and I didn't really think about it. And so what I channeled has been absolutely crazy what's actually happening with her. The cool thing with her is that I'm not going to share who, but someone who has known her her whole life, like somebody very close, has reached out to me and said that I'm the only person so far that they've seen actually share what's really going on. Which is confirmation for me. All my clients are confirmation for me when I channel for my clients, but it's confirmation that when I'm channeling from Hollywood, because it's not a normal thing. I channel soul contracts and people's purpose and mission, but I'm channeling what's happening to someone in real time, which is very dark. So it's beautiful confirmation. And I think that just something like that, for example, I see a lot of other people putting content about, for instance, Britney Spears out there. She's crazy. She's taking drugs. Like she's gone off the deep end, whatever. And just like the media, when someone puts something out there, hundreds of thousands of people are going to believe the thing, even if it's not real, which creates a certain belief system, which creates certain emotions and certain actions. And then you start creating a reality based on something totally false. At least and now that I'm putting out truth, people they don't need to care about the Britney Spears thing, but they can say, where else am I allowing other people to hijack my belief systems? I believe it because the news says it. I believe it because church told me. I believe it because my boss said. Like our inner compass is where we find truth. When we get really quiet and we can go in, and this takes practice, that's when we start connecting to your higher self. And that's what we need more of on the planet, really, is learning how to discern the truth so that we can start making different choices. Because again,
That's the key, making different choices.
Because our choices, right, create our reality. And if our choices are based on not true, things that aren't true, then it keeps us from living our truth. It keeps us from living in our full joy. So we have to get better about saying, I don't care where the information is coming from. I'm going to practice using my truth meter to discern what's truth and create my own reality based on that. And instead of letting someone in a position of control tell me what to believe, which is why religion was created, is to control people. And what I said in my religion video, and I love again how my guides share this, because it's not biased one way or the other. They're just sharing the fact, and they're saying, do what you want. But they say they're not saying God, they're saying religion. There is an almighty creator. There is one creator that we all come from. And we are actually here having an experience on behalf of the creator. The creator wants to experience all the things. He wants to be a plant. It wants to be Jennylyn. It wants to be Heather. So religion hijacked certain things and created structures that keep all of us in line, telling us not to step off the path. Don't be bad. Don't be evil. You're going to go to hell. It's a control structure that keeps everyone in line. But everyone's going to wake up to that in their own time. And a lot of people that you're referring to that haven't woken up yet, they might have been here many times and not woken up. It's not your job to wake people up. They always say it's your job to share truth and be authentic. And then when people start waking up, they know who to go to.
Well, believe it or not, we're down to 7 minutes, but I would like to say this before we wrap. Here's why I think it's important that a lot of people wake up. Humanity has been controlled by lies, and I don't want to use the adjective evil, but I can't find a substitute. So evil it shall be, controlling us. And if we don't unanimously wake up, or if more of us don't wake up than less, then we can't create the change that we need to claim our power back. And this is my concern. This is my passion, is to get people to start waking up and seeing that we're in this matrix that's not designed for our well-being. It's designed for us to be controlled and taken advantage of. And for me, it feels like being enslaved. And this is why I am spending my energy trying to bring people like you that I feel is authentically delivering messages from the divine that we need to hear. And it's not just you trying to make money off people, but you're bringing messages that humanity needs to hear in order to wake up and start making different changes. And I know it's not going to be easy, because it's never easy when you have something you've believed in from birth, that your ancestors believed in, to just collapse. It's tough and it's not going to be easy, but if we continue to stay in what we were living in, then we'll continue to be taken advantage of and robbed, is how I look at it. And
Yeah.
so before I let Heather speak again, this is what I would like to say. Tonight, I just wanted to introduce her to you. She did a series about the collapse of the system, the world system. It's really fascinating. And even if we don't talk about the celebrities, because there's no celebrities in my eyes. These girls like her, they are the celebrities. I would like her to bring her back to start sharing that series with you. And whatever we share, we're not holding a gun to your head to believe it. But just keep an open mind and your angels and guides will lead you to what you need to know and what you should just like roll off of your back. So, Heather, before we wrap, what do you want to leave with the viewers that I didn't ask you?
Well, I'll just comment on what you just said. I'll leave them with something with connected to that. Is that when we as humans hear something that goes against a belief system we have, we get triggered, right? Because and then yet the questions are, why am I triggered? Ask yourself, why am I triggered? And if you peel back the onion and you can give yourself love and patience and say, I'm going to figure out why am I getting triggered? You'll find that it goes back to a belief system that you're really holding on to, probably from childhood, probably generational, right? But if you can just relax into the knowing that, you used to believe in Santa Claus too, right?
Tooth fairy.
Wait, when my parents told me, I was thinking about this today. I remember when they sat me down and they told me Santa Claus wasn't real. They presented it as, we want to tell you who Santa Claus really is. And I'm like, what does that even mean? Who Santa Claus really is? I couldn't even comprehend it as a 6-year-old or whatever. And they said, who do you think that Santa Claus is? And I said, the Tooth Fairy. And they said, no. And then I said, the Easter Bunny. And they're like, no. And then they said, it's us. It's us. And I was like, I will never forget all of these decades later how shocked I was. My entire world was just shattered, right? That is a lot of what's going on here for all of us with all of it. So be patient with yourself. You used to believe in Santa Claus. Do you beat yourself up now for used to believing in Santa Claus? No, you are now living in the reality that Santa Claus isn't real and everything's fine, right? So be patient with yourself. When you come across, number one, start asking universe, God, whatever, I'm ready for truth. I don't know what it is. I'm ready for it. Bring it to me in bite-sized pieces. Then when you start getting, because you'll never get more than you can handle. What I know now is more than I knew when I woke up a few years ago. It will come in enough time and it'll build. And then when it comes in and you're triggered, find out where the root of that trigger is. And then ask yourself, does that belief system that's at the root of this trigger still serve you today? How is it serving you today? And can you gently start to release yourself from it and start, again, maneuvering towards and asking for truth to come in so that you can change your reality into one that is living from the true reality of what's happening here and start manifesting the life that you want. Because when you're trying to manifest the life that you want based on falsities, then you're not really living your truth. You're not really in your purpose. You're not really living your mission. So be patient with yourself. I always tell people, ask why. And if you're watching a video like this and you're triggered, ask yourself why you're triggered. And you always have the option to scroll. You can close out and scroll. You don't have to troll people if you're upset, but ask yourself why you're triggered. And that's where you need to go and ask yourself, does it still serve you?
And I would like to leave you with a question. Just ponder this question. We're not asking you for money. We're not asking you for anything. Why would we sit here and feed you this information if it's so erroneous and out there? And do your fact checking and don't go to Google, because Google will tell you the same stuff that you're already being force fed throughout your life. So you have to go look, ask your guides to lead you where you'll find the truth. And I feel that we can only make great decisions if we are fully informed. And until then, we remain pawns and little players to the powers that be that have controlled us all of our lives. I'm just very grateful to the universe that I'm an old woman now, but I'm waking up before I leave the planet. And it's really important to me that I have had this opportunity, and I'm grateful to my guides and all the angels and God and whoever led me to the place where I am today and who is connecting me to people like Heather. And look, perfect timing. And who are helping us to help others. And so, Heather, thank you so much for your time. I cannot wait to do the next segment where we do the series, where we begin the series, as many as you can do, because we want people to be informed and educated. And thank you so much for watching me, even though you may think I've gone off the beaten path. I'm doing what I'm instructed to do. I'm not doing this for friends and favoritism. I'm doing what my God is asking me to do. And I thank you so much for watching Conversations with Jennylyn, when a conversation is all you need to be inspired, like this one. And I will see you next time. Heather will be back soon.